Hey, this is Adam. Just wanted to pop on here before we started today's conversation and tell you about a really exciting event that we're going to be a part of this fall, October 6th at Bound Bookshop in York, Pennsylvania. We are so excited to be participating in the book launch for Madison Tyler Nelson's Portrait of a Haunting. This is just an incredible book that I think so many people are going to really love and enjoy. So we are so excited, one, to have had a conversation with her that you'll hear on the pod, but also in person being part of the book launch on release day at Bound Bookshop in York. Tickets are free at boundbookshop.com, and we hope to see all of our friends in the mid Atlantic area to come celebrate this really special book. All right, on to the conversation. Welcome to Horrifically Well Read, Bled, and Said. Today we are so excited to be talking to Dane Erbach, the author of Meat Bees, coming August 4th from one of our favorite publishers, Clash Books. Welcome to the show, Dane.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Do you know how long I've been waiting to speak to you? I mean, you do, but the listeners don't. What do you think? 7, 8 months?
Something like that.
I got the copy of your book on NetGalley, and I remember remarking to Adam, I'm like, "That is a disgusting cover. There's like, ew. I don't know if I can read that." And then I was immediately like, I have to read that.
Hmm.
Like, I can't. I was like one of those morose, like, I've got to check this out because it's done so well in black and yellow. It's right, like the full eyeball is exposed, and inside of the eyeball is this yellow jacket
The blood coming.
that is,
Yep.
yeah, that is like in it. And I mean, just the sound of like a meat bee, I was like gagging. So I loved it. And then I immediately messaged you and I was like, will you please come on the show? Because it was just the most fantastic book. And I feel like I've been stuck not being able to talk about it for months, and I'm so close to like to release, so I'm just really excited for you.
Great. I'm so happy that like I know the cover is gnarly, but I also want people to be excited about like the book and the characters and stuff too. So it makes me so happy that you enjoyed the book so much and all of that stuff.
It
So
is
thank you.
absolutely, it's all those things. And now, as you know, Adam was just reading it right before, a couple days before we're recording now, and I feel pretty confident that when I say like you're gonna love this, that he will, but I'm always, like, delighted when he loves it as much as I had hoped he would or more, or just the parts that I like so much, and, so we both had an excellent time with it. So with that being said, I'll
You
let
know, when I first heard the title, I was like, is this like a Tender is the Night style dystopian? We're having to farm bees for meat in the future, but not quite. So, first off, tell us, what is Meat Bees about, and what are Meat Bees in general?
Yeah, so I'll start trying with the pitch. Because I wanted to pitch this in as simple of a way as I could, like really dumb it down. And I sometimes where I dumbed it down too much by pitching it as Jaws with bees and just leaving it like, like whatever you think of when you think of Jaws in terms of, yes, of course, the shark, but like the vacation town turned upside down by
Mhm.
unexplained, like,
Phenomenon?
yeah,
Phenomenon?
or attacks, like an attack
Mhm.
from a shark, only that with bees. And that's sort of how I set out to write this book. And which is weird because I hadn't actually read the book Jaws
Mm.
until I started writing this book, and then I read it and I loved it, right? But I was like, well, maybe this book isn't as Jawsy as I thought it was going to be because there's definitely a couple weird scenes in that book. But not that my book's not weird, but a different kind of weird, right? And so there's a little bit of a I don't know if you want me to get into kinda like where the idea came from
Yeah,
and
I
what
would love to
so
hear
Yeah, so
that.
I was gonna ask that next anyway, so I know it
okay,
came from
cool.
a
Because that's
pretty.
kinda when you ask, like, what are meat bees, it kinda comes from, this thing that happened a couple years ago. I was on vacation in the Smoky Mountains with my family, and my kids were excited. Like, we had rented a cabin with, like, these 2 other families that were friends of ours, and, the kids were excited to get out into the woods and explore, and they were only outside for, like, 2 minutes. Then they all came inside screaming. because they had been attacked by bees or wasps, and they all got stung, but one of them was allergic to wasp stings, so we were kind of panicking there,
Right.
and she had been stung like, this was our friend's kid. She had been stung like a dozen times. She was fine. Everything was all good, but like when we came in, one of my kids still had a wasp on his shoulder, and we're trying to smack it off, and it wouldn't
Ooh.
leave. And so I had done just a little enough research of it to find out that like apparently like the wasps in the Smoky Mountains are pretty scary. Like they're very territorial, and if you step in the wrong place on a trail, they'll sting you. And, I only clicked into
They're
a
gonna
couple
fuck you up,
websites.
basically.
Right. Oh, yeah. And I only clicked on a couple websites before, I saw the word meat beads, and I was like, "Oh, geez. Okay,
Oh.
hold on. Like, this has gotta be a book." Right?
Yeah.
So I instantly Googled to see if any other person had named their book Meat Bees, and I didn't see anything prominent enough to stop me, so I started thinking about, because in this case, I literally did start the book with the title. I was like, "What is the book Meat Bees about?" And so I started writing the book with that just sort of general direction, and I didn't exactly know where I was going, but, by the end, it definitely gets meatier and a little more meaty and a little less bee-ish than I expected it to when I started. So, yeah.
Awesome. You did a wonderful job with that. So I was definitely I'm someone that loves bugs and insects and everything, and I've never been scared of bees and stuff. But I mean, wasps and yellow jackets, it's like they're really angry, and especially as the season starts to go into fall, like
Yeah.
specifically yellow jackets get angrier, and just because the food is not as ubiquitous, and so yeah, they're assholes, and but I did not know that they were, like, nicknamed,
Carnivores.
yes, meat bees, and because that's so, um one of the things I will say is I love when I get a book in my hands, I I start it and I'm just like, it feels like, "Please don't interrupt me. Please let me just read this thing." I read this in one sitting, I could not stop. Adam and I have argued about this, and now I know you're reading it, but, like, you've read it, Adam, but I feel like it's a slasher book, and he's like, "It can't be a slasher because there's not a," and I'm like, "But it reads like a slasher,
Well,
and that's what I love about it."
it's funny though because when you say the Jaws, thing too, the opening scene of a slasher and the opening scene of a movie like Jaws, it's really always the same thing, isn't it? It's like
Mhm.
a minor character or someone that doesn't, obviously show up because they get killed in the first scene, but kind of establishing that threat in the same way. I was like, you know what? They're very similar in that
Okay,
way.
thank you.
And while I still wouldn't say it's a slasher, it
Okay,
has
it reads like a
it
slasher.
has some similar beats and things, but, like, whether it's a creature or a killer or a natural phenomenon like bees and stuff like that, I love that idea of sort of setting up because either way, whether it's a killer or anything else, it's always, like, that moment of, like, is this what's really causing this kind of thing? And, in Jaws, it's like, what shark is it? It's like in, Halloween, it's like, oh, who's doing this and stuff. But like, you never look to the fucking bees to be the
Right?
one. And obviously, not no spoilers, but there is a little more to it than that. But ultimately, that's your threat. It's like you got to watch out. These fucking bees are gonna get you. Like,
And here's the thing too, Adam, it's like, I loved listening to you as you were reading through of you guessing what was happening and why it was going, and
mhm.
I think you did an awesome job of that, Dane, of just really building that suspense of, the amount of attacks that are happening, these gruesome kills, and being like, "What the hell is happening here?" And I loved, like, I said I'm not gonna even answer when he was guessing it, but it was fun to hear your thoughts and what you thought was doing it because it is deep and more complex, and I think that was a really fun part of it is, like, it's gory, it's gross, it's fast paced, but then it's deep too.
I appreciate hearing that, to be completely honest. Because like, I'm not gonna, pretend like like, when I wrote this other book when like, the first book I ever wrote, I was trying to be a little more literary and a little more serious, and there were a lot of layers to it. It took me, like, 5 years to write it, and then, like and then I sat on it, and I didn't do anything with it, and I just self-published it a couple years ago, but, like,
Okay.
that one is, like it was a pretty heavy thematic book, And it was only when I pivoted to writing stuff that I would call a little more YA, where I focused a little bit more on young adults and teenagers and stuff, that I really felt like I was like, "Oh, this is the kind of stuff I really wanna write. This is the fun
Mm.
stuff." And so I kinda, like, eased up on trying to be serious, but I don't think any of my books are like I think
They have
any of
that
them are
flip. Like,
goofy,
yeah,
you
no,
know?
there is like, it I really love that because it's as light as you want it to be, but then you have, several themes that, you know, I think dive into parenting,
Yeah.
mothers of what they should be, coming of age of how, you need to just kind of come into this world of your character being right at that age where she feels like she knows everything, but she really knows jack shit. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, adults that kind of fail you, and in general, just like I can't say the other thing because then it'll give away like the but as you read it and you find out like, wow, you really tapped into some things that are actually I just, I'll message you privately, but that were just recently in the news where I'm like, yeah, this is appropriate of like, this fits with right with what's happening in your book. And we just continue to see it happen. So I think it was
Yeah.
really well done for that. One of the things that I like is that you had a lot of humor and sarcasm. And I wanted to talk about your main character in the book because essentially she's complex. And so I would love for you to introduce her.
Yeah, okay, so Scarlett's the main character. She is a teenager who and I'm again, I think I'm going to present this in a way that seems kinda dumb, but, again, I appreciate that you see that there's more complexity to her than the dumb presentation I'll start with, but, like, she just really wants a car. Like, that's all she wants, and I think that when
Mhm.
I started the book, I was like, what does Scarlett want more than anything? All she wants is a car, but really what she wants is freedom because as you read through the book, you discover that, like, she's going to live with her dad in the Smoky Mountains because her mom and her dad split up. And so her mom needs to take care of herself a little bit. So she's actually going to spend some time in a hospital trying to take care of herself a little bit. And we kind of learn what's going on with Scarlett's mom through like some flashbacks and some of the interactions with Scarlett. She's she kind of we start learning that she's the one parenting her mom a little bit, and in exchange for being her like kind of the responsible adult in the relationship, she gets a little bit of like freedom, but not the kind of freedom she really wants. She gets to like cause trouble with friends. So when she comes to live with her dad, she realizes her dad's going to be a little more strict and she doesn't like that. And then her dad's going to make her work for the
Ye
things that she wants and
Yeah,
she
he's like,
doesn't
"You need
like
to get
that
a job."
either.
And she's like, "Are you
Yeah.
freaking kidding
So
me?"
yeah, so what I set out to do is create a teenager who is really upset with her dad, who really idolized her mom, but also kind of deep down beneath the surface understood that her mom was not good for her,
Mhm,
and needed to come to terms with that, and really didn't want a job, but also at a certain point was like, well, if I get a job, I can get a car. Also, if I get a job, I can get the hell away from my dad.
mhm.
And so she's really a brat. Like, I tried to create a brat, which actually, in the grand scheme of publishing, I'm learning isn't good because a lot of my readers are like, "She's so annoying." I put the book down because she was so mean to her dad, and I was like, "Oh
Wow.
man, that's what I wanted you to see." Like, and she comes around later, but I wanted to create a character who was like the real like she's the person inside of me that I would never let out, or that I
Yeah.
sometimes let out. You know what I
Listen
mean? Like,
listen, we've been through teenagehood for already once, and now we have our exchange student who's 17, and then our youngest is 13, but our oldest is almost 24, and it's like, I thought you nailed the teenage state of, like, everything you just said, and maybe that just means that, like, we have brats, I don't know, but I
I
think it's
have
just
a
but I
I was
think
just
that
gonna say,
talks
I'm
about
sorry, I don't
you.
mean to jump in, but I have
No.
a 14-year-old now who just graduated from 8th grade yesterday, and
Oh,
so he's definitely entering teenagerness, but I'm a high school teacher too, so I, like, literally hang out with teenagers all day, and so
Even.
part of the reason why I think that it's fun for me to write from the teenage perspective is because I'm in teenage mode all day long,
You're
you know?
immersed, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that Scarlett, what's so interesting about her though, and someone that's reading the book, it kind of is interesting that they would have that reaction because yes, like Scarlett's words and actions might be that, but she's so self-aware at the same time.
Yes.
And, like,
Mhm.
almost every time that she, like, ends up saying something that's kind of jerkish or whatever, like, she's always kind of in her head, she's like, "I know this isn't what I should say. I know
Yeah.
what's actually going on here. I know
I think it's a defense mechanism, really,
Yeah, like, you
because
really
she's
feel
Mhm.
that.
not really dealing with the unhealthiness of her mom and, again, it's almost like it's simmering, like, as you were saying and describing the relation with your mom, I'm like, "Oh, it's like a zit that is about to come out, but you don't know it's gonna come out, and it's just, like, infected under the skin before it has, like, a head." It's kinda what
Perfect,
she
by the way.
Yeah,
Perfect
like, that's
analogy, thank
what I
you.
feel like. But Adam, I mean, you deal with kids all day too, and they're 5th graders, but you're saying you're seeing kind of the same thing with the, entitlement and just kind of, uh, feeling like they know everything. I think it's starting earlier.
I think that it's so funny because I heard this, like, a long time ago, and it kind of, like, fits Scarlett and a lot of I think taps into a lot of the feelings of kids almost from, like, 11 to 18 maybe, but it's like when you're a kid, you think that the grown-up drink is coffee. When you're a teenager, you think the grown-up drink is beer, and when you're an actual adult, you realize water is the grown-up drink. But Scarlett is, like, learning as this book goes on, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I love that you put it that way because I think what Scarlett tries to do I mean, and I'm thinking, like, there's, like, one flashback in mind that I have where she, like, thinks of this time that she went to a party,
Uh,
and she was just
Wonderful.
going there to be seen, and she
Mhm.
just, like, wanted everyone to notice her, and then she comes home and her mom doesn't even notice that she's come
Ugh,
home, and I
and
think
she's
what
missing
that
her
does
shoes.
is
That's the thing is it's like, you don't even realize I'm lost my expensive shoes.
Right, right, and I feel like that's kind of a weirdly symbolic thing for her is that, like, she just wants someone to, like, acknowledge her and, like, and cheer for her, but not her dad, because her dad's the enemy here, right? And so she's got this like what I would tried to do, and actually I think this was kind of the magic of writing, is I created a sort of fairly, I'd say, one-dimensional character, and as the book was written, it just sort of she became more complex. She
She
became not
does.
just brat. She's a brat
Mhm.
who knows right from wrong and just chooses wrong for all sorts of weird reasons. And it takes
I
her a
think
while to realize she's gotta choose right and what right means for her, you know?
Yeah, I'm gonna respectfully disagree. I don't think she is bratty at all. I think she's just
Okay.
very, she's been put in some tough positions and had to grow up a little too soon in certain ways, and I think she's maybe a
And
little, like,
I, uh,
selfish
I
or,
think that
but for the right reasons, and I think she's
maybe
also
that's what I
very,
mean, is, like, I started with her
protective
like, I
of
want a
herself
brat,
and uses
and then by the
satire
end of the
and
book,
just
I'm like,
kind of
"Eh, she's not a
aggressiveness
brat.
as
She's
her
just
defense
dealing with stuff,"
mechanism,
you know?
Yeah.
which I think a lot of people do.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
when you say the thing she wants the most is freedom in a car, she ends up becoming friends with the one worker at the place, and she has to deal with, I mean, I think it would be ubiquitously agreed upon one of the shittiest cars that you'd ever have to ride in, the PT Cruiser.
Yeah, I
It's
don't think there's been like it's so funny because 'cause I've had multiple coworkers and friends
Yes.
get hit by PT Cruisers driving like idiots, and it's like, of course it was a fucking PT
Yeah.
Cruiser. The one good thing about that is they're made out of basically, like, plastic, so, like, you're not gonna get harmed necessarily. Maybe when you're
Yeah.
in the PT Cruiser, but not but
Mhm.
I that was just so perfect.
Yes.
Um,
It's the summer of the PT Cruiser,
uh,
and it's funny because one of Adam and I one of my favorite movies from years ago was Taxi with Jimmy Fallon and Queen Latifah, and
Mhm.
his mom has a Daewoo, and she's like, "I'm not getting in that car. I don't want Daewoo all over me." And it's like, that's kinda
that's
how I
Scarlett's
felt.
reaction
That
was
is
like
her
that.
reaction. I was like,
"No, I'm not driving in that."
completely understandable.
Yeah, and I tried to create Bruno, the PT Cruiser, as a kind of character that we
Oh,
can
yeah.
I feel like
He's
every
the
good
love.
story needs the person that you beat up a little bit, and in this
Yeah.
case, it just happened to be a car, you know?
You know what? The
So
Bruno
But it
co
smells
Bruno
good
Bruno
inside.
it does, and Bruno comes in pretty clutch.
Yeah, Bruno does.
Yeah, I'm glad that I did not expect for us to be talking about the car in this conversation, guys. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy you brought up Bruno. I've been asking, like, because at this point in the conversation where we're talking, or during this recording, like, we're still a couple months out from the release of the book, so, whenever this comes out, maybe people will be listening to it another time, but I'm trying to, like, come up with some kind of merch that I
Oh,
might be able
Yes,
to sell
Bruno
somewhere.
has to
we
be.
have to.
Well, I wanna come up with a sticker pack, but I wanna make my middle son, who's 11, draw all of them because he's a
Yeah.
really good, like, little artist, and so one of
Ah!
the things is I definitely want a Bruno that's all busted up and bloody and smeared with, like, bee blood and stuff, so there
I
may
want
or may not be a golden PT Cruiser sticker coming out
I love it.
somewhere.
Like, I
Yeah.
wanted freedom and all I got was this PT Cruiser.
Yeah.
No, I
But
think it's such a core element to the book, honestly, where
yeah.
eventually you're like, "I don't give a shit what I'm writing,"
Uh-huh.
and so, yes.
Well, it makes me think also, when you're thinking about things for the sticker pack, obviously, I don't know what copyrights are, but something involving Dolly Parton Stampede, which brings us to I just kinda wanna talk a little bit about Pigeon Forge, and, obviously, Pigeon Forge can represent a lot of, like, essentially created tourist towns and areas.
You're gonna share the point right now, say, "I'm from Tennessee."
I am from Nashville, Tennessee, so
Alright,
it is a different
awesome.
culture, very, like,
It is very different,
whatever,
though.
but obviously, I don't wanna know someone that doesn't love Dolly Parton as a human being, even if you don't love her music, which is kinda what,
Mhm.
is talked about in the book too, which
Side
I
note,
love.
sounds like the Trump organization is trying to shut down her book program right now.
Of course,
Mhm.
it's like, "You go after Dolly, you good luck." I'm
Yeah,
sure
for
that's what
sure,
happened.
right?
Yeah.
That's
But, one thing that I've always loved, which, it brings us into both this tourist town and kind of introducing Live, is who the fuck works at these places, you wonder sometimes. Like, when I go through, it's like you're in the middle of nowhere, and then suddenly there's this giant resort or these huge, like, Buc-ee's or something like that, and you're like, "Where
Mhm.
do they find people to work here?" And one place we used to go all the time was Myrtle Beach, in that area, and whenever we would go into shops and things like that, we would just happen to notice that all of the workers were, like, this kind of, like, probably 16 to 20-year-old, and a lot of them were, like, Eastern
Eastern
or
European.
Eastern
Yep.
European. It was like,
Mhm.
what we finally asked one girl, like, "What is it?" And they're like, "Yeah, we come over, and we have a host
We have an
family,
exchange program,
and
yeah.
there's, like, an exchange program to work here for, like, 4 to 6 months every year."
Yeah. And so I'm in Illinois, and I'm in northern Illinois, like the northwest suburbs of Chicago, so, like a couple hours away between here and Madison, Wisconsin, is a
Mm.
place called the Wisconsin Dells. And so that's kind of like a very it's almost like, I don't wanna call it the Pigeon Forge of Wisconsin, because I think, or like the Gatlinburg of Wisconsin,
Mm.
but it kind of is Wisconsin's weird little version of that. And so one time I was on a I was I went there as a kid a lot, and I've gone there with my family a lot, but one time I was there for, like, a bachelor party weekend, and like, my friends are not, like, the party type, so we just went mini golfing and went to, like, the weird haunted Aztec ruin things and
Mhm.
stuff, and, like, all kinds of just weird stuff to do there. But, yeah, literally everyone we talked to was from, like, like, from another they were from South America or Central America, or they were from, yeah, an Eastern European country, or they're from Scandinavia, and
That's
Yeah.
and I
awesome.
was just like, "How is no one here with, like, a Culver's cheese curd accent?" And everyone's got an accent. Yeah, and I thought it was kind of cool, and for some reason it stuck in my head, and so that's where Liv came from, is how do I create the non-American voice of reason in this book, who, because of maybe it's because of her perspective, that she is just such a great, like, person to lean on throughout the book, or maybe it's just, like, a stoicism that sometimes might be a little cliche with Scandinavian culture or something, but yeah, I think that's where she comes from. She's just, plus because she doesn't know, she's kind of a transplant to, like, the area along with Scarlett, the 2 of
Mhm.
them, like, neither of them, and I don't know, like, depending on who you ask, Tennessee is the South, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think so, like, here's, like, this transplant from the Chicago area and this transplant from Norway in this area where they don't really understand, like, "Are wasps normal here? What's Dolly Parton's stampede?" Like, to them, it's just totally bizarre, and so I thought that kinda added some humor to the story.
Absolutely, and, the thing that, Scarlett almost likes at the beginning especially, likes Liv despite not wanting to, and
Right.
one of the things, like, about Liv is that, like, she sees through Scarlett, like, and
Mhm.
who she
Uh-huh.
really is, and that's, like, part of why she's like, "We're gonna be friends because, like, I know that you're actually a good person even if you don't know it yet."
Mhm.
Right. Right on.
And how she's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, my host family bought these tickets for the Stampede. They don't wanna go, so they have no problem getting a ticket for you."
So, which like, I wanna talk about that Dolly Parton Stampede scene because the way that you nail the absolute surrealness of some of these, I don't know what theater dinner
Right.
things.
Mhm.
So, I remember in Orlando, we went to, like, was it
Arabian
Arabian Nights?
Nights.
They're all
Yeah.
vaguely offensive in some kind of way too,
Mhm.
like, which is but we've done Arabian Nights, then we did a pirate one in, like,
Mhm.
the it was Dolly Parton's actually, yeah, she has a
Mhm.
one in,
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach that's a pirate themed one, and there's those moments because there's almost always live animals,
Mhm.
and you're like, "Why am I eating around this?"
Why am I eating a chicken carcass with my hand?
Yeah, why am I getting a creamy vegetable soup as I smell manure?
Yeah, so, like, out here, I have not gone I should be full disclosure, I have not gone to Dolly Parton Stampede, and now I have to. It was one of those things that I we went on when we went on our vacation to the Smoky Mountains, we drove past, I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I was just so curious about it, so I put it in the book. But a lot of what I was pulling from was what we have around here called medieval times, and it was
Yeah,
Yes,
famously
yes.
yeah, okay. Famously in what was that, Cable Guy or something like
yeah,
that?
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's the same sort of thing that I will say the only thing I don't know if it's like, the same for where you guys did your dinner theater thing, but they don't let you use utensils at medieval
Right.
times. So not only are you smelling like horse, but you're also eating with your hands and you're not allowed to use something sanitary, you know? It's a it's just a rich experience, you know what
The
I mean?
rich experience. I feel like that's
Yeah.
why I've never been to medieval times because I'm not a big meat eater, and I'm like, "Is there no vegetarian option? Like, I have to rip apart this carcass?"
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, but, like, for $50 or whatever it is,
No matter
I
what,
love
you're
that.
watching
You're
other
smelling
people
like
rip
horse
open a
and you can't
carcass.
access anything sanitary.
Right.
There were no utensils in medieval times, so there's no
Right.
utensils at
Right.
medieval as Janine
That's right.
Garofalo says in
Yep.
Table Tap.
But the fact that we've had 3 exchange students, we love to live in the book so much, and, it was just great that you wrote her.
Well, I'm and it's so honestly, I have listened to a couple episodes and, we follow each other and stuff on social media. But so I don't know why I didn't pick up that you guys had foreign exchange students, and I think that's super cool that you do. I really wanted Liv to bring like I wanted her to be the voice of reason. I wanted her to be someone that Scarlett could hate and then love, and but I also wanted her to be like someone that readers could love too and want in their family. So it
Oh,
makes me
yes.
really happy to hear that you guys like connected on that level with her character.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh,
think she
yeah,
was written so well.
and I've been telling everyone that I'm in my slut era now for
When I write stuff like that, I like don't know if like I'm being inauthentic or something because like I've personally never been a teenage girl and
yeah,
I've never had a slut era. But like what's
Well,
wild
Adam
is
does mean in his slut era with hot dogs.
yeah, I'm a hot
fair
dog
enough.
for
Oh,
sure.
I've had many of those slut eras. Yeah, I feel you on that one. But you know what I wanted it to be is, like, things like that that popped out of this book, and it really was like, there were a lot of moments in this book that were, like, where the characters come alive and they're funny, and I'm just the person at the
You're the
computer
vessel.
writing it all down, it's like, I
Mhm.
don't know where this is coming from, and so, like, that was part of it, these characters sort of came alive before we even know who Liv is, she's already, like being kinda wild with like harnessing like, I guess tapping into Scarlett's wildness and sort of, like, having fun with it and letting Scarlett be who she is and
Mhm.
and especially in those moments where, gosh, sorry, it's gonna be so embarrassing that I'm not remembering all the details of my own book, but, I'm pretty sure I think they
You
turned
said
to
it for
some
your
other
own book.
character and it was one of the police officers that's interviewing them, and they're like, "Yeah, we're in our
Mhm.
slut era." And you know what I mean? Like, that kinda deadpan humor, and especially, like, moments where, like I think there was one scene that I had to reduce significantly where Scarlett is convinced that the police officers, one is Drake and the other is Mark McGrath from
Oh god,
Yes!
that's
Sugar
funny.
Ray.
I
Yeah, and
love
and,
it.
like, so I think it's in the book still, but I had to there was, like, a whole chapter where she's, like, delirious and, like, and convinced that these 2 guys are in it, and I had to take a lot of it out. But, but it's stuff like that where I'm like, "Man, I'm just in Scarlett's head, and I'm along for the ride. I don't know where this stuff is coming
Well, it's funny because one, obviously, I can only imagine the things that you hear on a daily basis
from."
as a high school teacher based on some of the things I hear from 5th graders. So
Yeah, it gets weird. It gets weird.
I'm sure that
Yeah,
you're
it gets
drawing,
weird.
whether, consciously or subconsciously, you're plumbing from a depth of weirdness for sure.
Well,
But bringing in,
we had a graduation party this weekend with teenagers, and Adam's like, "I was really thinking about moving from 5th grade to high school, and you know what? Never mind. No."
I still think that every now and again. They're all wonderful and they're all mind-numbingly terrifying and crazy at the same time, but I'm sure I am to them too, so it's not,
Mhm.
it's a give and a
Well, for
take.
what it's worth, if I can interject there too, I think that's
Yeah,
part of the reason I like writing teenage characters is because I think to some extent, yeah, I'm with you. They're weird and they're sometimes terrifying and also the best, you know.
yeah,
But they're also like sometimes I feel like I'm a good teacher because like I could stoop to their level really well,
I do
and I
think
can
it's
be
really good
like
to
a
be a
really annoying teenager too, you
yeah,
know.
well, what's interesting that we learned from Francesca is that in Italy, she said it's more of like a professional relationship with you teachers in terms of like, like your doctor would come in the room, that your doctor knows you, like
yeah.
has the conversation, but there's no like there's a familiarity, but not like in terms of a personal familiarity.
Yeah, she
Mhm.
said they
Mhm.
essentially the students stay in one room, and the teachers cycle in, give their lecture, and leave. Next teacher comes
Dang.
in, gives their lecture,
Wow.
and leave, that it's much more transactional.
Yeah, so she
Hmm.
loved her experience here because she was actually able to connect with high school teachers that made her feel like a person and had moments and experiences. So I think you're doing good work, Dane.
I appreciate hearing that. Thank you.
Absolutely. So these kills, I love how you use the word gnarly, like so gnarly. I just feel like the way that you had the cadence to them and the disgustingness, and like, I don't really feel like I'm giving too much away here, but like somebody gets killed by a bee, by a swarm of bees, like a lot of bees. And these bees are like the ultimate, what is it?
Scavenger,
I was
yeah.
going to say decomposers in the food chain, because by the time the body's actually found, they're skeletal. Uh,
Within,
like 2
obviously,
days, like
and
48 hours, which
Yeah.
shows, I think, their viciousness.
mhm. And I just, the way that, we said that opening scene, you introduce a kid that's like kind of an asshole too. And it's like, I love that a lot of times in slashers, those opening kills, you're kind of
Mhm.
rooting for the killer more than you are for
I know.
the person. And it's like, one of those situations. But like at the same time, it's like crazy. It's like, oh my God, this is what's happening. But like, especially as it went on, like, putting myself in the position of these people, it is a terrifying death
Yes, it
that they
is.
go through.
Well, I'm afraid of bees. Like I am definitely the sort of guy who would like run squealing across like his backyard, like stop the
Yeah.
lawnmower and just go running. And so I think that's I was tapping into that a little bit, but I also think, like you look at the cover of this book, and I think it was really, really well done by the designer Joel for Clash Books. And
Mm,
I was also really
Yeah.
appreciative that he sent me like ideas, and then I was like, yeah, that's cool, but try this. And then he was like, okay, I tried this. What do you think? And I was like, it needs more bees. It needs more blood, or too
yeah,
much, like let's balance it out. So I got a little bit of say in the cover, but I've kind of worried that the cover gives the wrong impression about the book because I think some people pick it up thinking it's like a splatterpunk kind of super gore fest thing, and I'm like, ooh, it's just not. There's also witty banter, and there's also like a cute quiet boy that like Scarlet is trying to who's bi, but she's not sure if she's got a chance with him or not,
yeah,
and I think that there's in other words, it's not just a gore fest, but I mean, I don't think I would really enjoy a book that's just pure torture porn, like splatterpunk stuff.
Mhm.
no,
It needs to be more than that, but I'm worried that it attracts the wrong reader, and then they're like, "Oh, it's too boring." So it makes me really happy to hear that you're like, "Yeah, this is really scary," because I thought that being overtaken by a bunch of wasps stinging you and like trying to find like wherever the flesh on your body still is that they can kind of like grab in their mandibles is like
Yeah,
I kind of thought that was terrifying too. And I
absolutely.
definitely tried to make myself cringe a little bit, but I
Um,
also was like, well, we got to, again, I'm not, maybe I'm spoiling a little. I won't spoil too much. I mean, cuz I honestly think some of this is the sort of stuff that's easy to predict, but when like one character is allergic to bees, like there's going to be a really sad bee allergy death involved in that. And I was also so I was thinking of like what would be so scary about that would maybe not be the bees, but like the like not being able to breathe and the
yeah,
not being able to, like there's maybe more to the scariness too. Like the I think there were a couple deaths too where like they were mercifully knocked out or
yeah,
Yeah.
like but there are ultimately what I was trying to create was something where like there's a death that is not something you can fight off.
right.
Well, that's
That to me
really
was the
how it
scary
felt to
part.
me is like, everybody's running for their lives
Once you're targeted, it's over.
because it's so
Yeah,
freaking painful, it's and at the same time, it's like you can't like get a baseball bat, there's
yeah,
nothing that like you can't like get a gun, like there's really nothing, you can't like throw water on it, like maybe, I don't know, like you can't burn it because
Yeah,
they're on your friend. And it's like it all happens so quick. I mean, it's so I think that's the whole point, right? It's just, I mean, it's so rapid that before you even know it, and it's so disorienting, which I think makes it just adds to the horror of it. And then it's just like horrific of like, and this is done. Like they're gone, they're
yeah,
dead,
yeah,
and it's like fuck.
and they leave you wondering like, "What the hell? Like, why did that
yeah.
just happen?" You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah,
not to spoil specific things and stuff, but like you said, there's a character, in a death that involves that person having been allergic to bees. And, that character at certain times decides they're going to go help with this escapade that they know involves potentially evil bees,
yeah,
attacking. And so I love that you kind of explore the bravery that these young people can have, even though they know they're putting themselves in harm when they care about someone else. And so
yeah,
like getting into that layer of like, look, these other people have to be attacked in swarms. This person could potentially be stung once and
mm,
have that happen to them, and they're still doing it. I was just like, that's a pretty cool dude there, you know?
Yeah, I think there's
yeah,
a lot of that self-sacrifice as the book goes on of just found family and like friendship and just
It's like that
like you
Scooby Doo
said of
thing almost,
yeah,
like
like
kinda yeah,
moving out from the any potential brattiness or isolation or keeping themselves safe. There, it's like I have to do this, and really, it- the fact that I mean, the police can't even do anything really because it
yeah,
yeah,
happens so fast. Their skin is gone so fast. It's hard to even kind of identify who was it or so, and they are so vicious that everybody's kind of like, how do we even approach this? Because it's not a few bees. I mean, it's
yeah,
like
and from the first death at the beginning of the book, it escalates so quickly too, which I love that it's not like because so many times even like Jaws where it's like, "Oh, this happens," and then everybody's like, "Oh, it's fine, nothing's going on," and then it's like 2 weeks later, someone gets killed or something. It's like, "No, this
not in
needs to
this
be
book.
addressed immediately."
Yes.
yeah.
Well, I was up till like 2 in the morning reading it because I was
Yeah.
like, I don't care. I have to know what happens here.
Well, it's funny
And
because
it's awesome to hear that. Thank you so much for
yeah,
Yes.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
No, I mean, it is honestly like this is this is a book of that's good to read anytime because I was reading it in like late fall, but this is a summer
oh, it's a
book.
perfect
Oh
summer book.
my god, is it ever?
Dog Days of
Yeah.
August when it
Oh
comes
my
out, it's gonna
god,
be
it's
perfect.
gonna be perfect. It's just like I can't wait to force it on so many people
Yeah.
because so many times so many times I mean that lovingly, but so many times we talk about like what is a good horror book for people that can't read certain kinds of horror books or they don't want this or that. And I think yours is great because it encompasses like adventure, thriller. It's that
It's funny, has the
yes,
humor.
yes. And then like I said, I think it's like a perfect book of like anyone could be able to enjoy this if you're not a bitch.
Again, I really appreciate that. I like horror is something I like to read. And I like to watch it too, but I'm not, I think I already said, like, there are certain kinds of horror that, are just not up my alley. I'm not like a ride or die horror weirdo, which is, I think, I wish I was. I think I was exposed to horror way too early as a child,
God,
like so many of us, right?
that was me. That was
Yeah.
totally.
I remember vividly watching RoboCop when I was, like, in 1st or 2nd grade, and my dad being like, "Let's go to the park to kinda, like, decompress after watching this body being blasted apart,"
Well, they
Mm,
it's
and
so
I was
funny because they sell that as such a, like, you could buy the toys, and, like, I had the toys, and
oh,
no what
yeah. Oh,
movie I'm
I
like,
totally had yeah.
the
Well, also,
NES
like
game and all that, yeah.
well,
totally.
I love that you said you got exposed too early, and I still don't like to watch horror. In fact, Adam just went out, like, to the movies by himself, and I'm like, "Please go enjoy yourself. Go watch your horror." I do like reading it, but yeah, I mean,
Well,
I think your book just it hits all the right notes. It's approachable and palatable to anyone who does like to read horror all the time and those who don't.
yeah, and I think that's where I was kinda going is like, I like horror a lot, but I also really just like I like weird shit in books. I like when
Me
things
too.
get I think I like when things get, like, a little bit like, "What is going on here?" and trying to figure it out, and I mean, but I'm not a big mystery guy, like, I want a ghost haunting a house, like, I want an
Yeah,
alien on a spaceship. I want,
yeah.
like, I want the weird thing that's paranormal, supernatural, otherworldly, and I will almost universally love any book that's kind of like that. But I don't need it to be gory or bloody. I don't need it to be violent or really transgressive I just need it to be like, man, that alien's being real creepy right now, and so, like, I tried to write a book that I wanted to read, like, give me something weird, give me something unexplained, and then try to
Mhm,
find some supernatural way to explain it, and again, I hope I'm not giving too much away, but
mhm.
give me something some weird way to explain it, and then, like, throw a joke or 2 in there along the way and
Yep.
make it fun, because
And
I
but
the
you're but
here's
you
the
have me, like, the meat piles that are found there, they are, again, gnarly. I mean, you do a great job with the, like, ew, the ick.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I was trying to be weird more than icky, but I'm glad that it got the ick factor because I think that'll appeal to a certain reader?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, what's interesting is, I don't know if you were, but I was a kid raised on Goosebumps,
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
I think that, like, thematically, so many of the Goosebump books are, I'm in an unfamiliar place, the adults don't believe me, and there's a threat, right?
Yeah.
And, like, I think that the bones of that Meat Bees has, but it levels it up, and
Your words today were,
the
it's
stakes are so much higher,
you were like, "Whatever anybody has ever tried to recreate,
like a Goosebumps for adults or a Goosebumps for
you did
older
it.
audience.
You
It's
did
like,
it."
this
Oh my
is
gosh.
yeah, this is the way that you do it, and you do it in a way that, is not, you
It's
know
not corny.
it's not corny, it's not poorly written, it's not, you know, simple and, emotions and those kinds of things, but it really taps into that same where you're like, "Oh, what's that feeling I can get again from," this is almost like in a way of, oh man, I can't even Welcome to Horrorland, sorry. It's like a Welcome to
Mhm.
Horrorland and Monster Blood
Yeah.
come together kinda thing where it's like, I'm in this place where I'm living with this family member I'm not a big fan of, but then all of a sudden things happen where you're like, "Oh, this is life or death," and I
Yeah.
think that that is just like, I was just smiling from year to year as I'm
Mhm.
reading, like, most of the book because I'm like, "Oh, there's that feeling when I was 11 again."
Yes, I think that's what it was, is why I was so enamored. It's
Yeah.
I was just like, "This is so good," because I have said it admittedly several times, but I am fully in my YA era because YA books get right to the point. There's no, like, random subplots and any things that, like, doesn't connect. I mean, and I just thought you nailed it, really, really well, and I think you should add that you were told that this is like Goosebumps for adults, part of your
Oh
whole
my gosh. This
part of
is
your draws.
literally the yeah, this is the ultimate, compliment, by the way. Like, you guys don't even know how, like, that hits exactly where I, like, wanted it to hit. Because like I don't. I've read a few Goosebumps novels as an adult with my kids, and I was like, "Holy crap, this is a little scarier than I thought it would be." Like,
Right?
I don't remember it free. Like some of it was like, "This is super unsettling." Like
Yeah.
for a fifth grader, for a fourth grader, and so, like, yeah, it makes me so happy to hear that because, like, Goosebumps had this way of being unsettling in just the right way to keep you wanting to turn those pages. And I don't know, man, if you guys had that same reaction to Meat Beast, that's like totally what I've always wanted to hear as an author. So thank you for that.
Well, it's genuine, and I don't say this in a braggadocious way. I say it in like we read a lot of books, and when I say to you, like I've been waiting months to talk to you about it, like it has been that good for me for that long. And I think you're right, Adam. I couldn't really quantify or
Mhm.
say it in words as to why it wasn't. It was that first thrill of reading a book like that where you're like, you're in enough danger. It's not super dark, but it's like fun and yet it's deeply unsettling.
Mhm.
It's so good.
Man, that's so
Absolutely.
awesome. Thank you.
Well, I wanna talk about too, you touched on it with the Mark McGrath and Officer Drake, but music plays a huge role in this book. Scarlett really has taken to the music of her mother, the, like, early 2000s pop
Oh,
punk emo sort of era. Her dad's more of a, indie dad rock, kind of thing. And then Liv brings in her amazing Scandinavian metal, kind of dissonant noise kind of stuff into it. And I think that what I love about that is I think all people we kind of put on especially like young adults how much music is important in their lives. But I think everyone has that. Like when you're doing
it
the
does.
dishes,
It
you're listening to music.
scores your life.
When you're driving somewhere, you're listening to music, so I love the fact that, almost in anything that Scarlett's doing, like, she is talking about what she's listening to or how those things and it kind of brings in the differences between her and her dad and different things like that, as well as, scores how much she's learning from Liv, and just the way you use music in this book is awesome, I just wanted you, to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, so I'll be like, this is how nerdy I am, right? When I was in high school, I was a punk rock kid and I went to shows, like local shows, and booked my own shows with, at like local skate parks and stuff like that. And then, like, up until a few years ago, I ran a record label. Like, I like helped smaller indie kind of post hardcore punk bands like press their own records, make cassettes and stuff. And so music's been like a big part of my life. And so this is how nerdy I am. Like, I literally had a whole playlist of like songs that Scarlett would like before I
Yeah,
was probably done with the first or second chapter. You know what I mean?
amazing.
Like, I just knew like that needed to shape her character. I have a lot of students whose parents are like, I guess my age, and so
Yeah.
they all went, like I have a student who's like, comes up to me all the time rattling off bands. I'm like, you shouldn't know who that band is. That's my band. And but I think it's great, So I wanted Scarlett to be a character who, as a way of showing her allegiance to her mom, loves Good Charlotte and loves Simple Plan and loves like Blink and all of these other bands that like because I really loved pop punk too. I mean, there are some of those bands that were not really like I was not a big Good Charlotte guy, for example. But I made a playlist of songs that you would like with like Goldfinger and Bowling for Soup and Less Than Jake and like bands that I was really into when I was
Yeah.
a teenager. And so in some ways Scarlett was definitely like little kid me in terms of music. Liv listens to music that is way more my current style. And but also I did a really weird deep dive into like I didn't realize there are so many Scandinavian bands that I liked. And so I was pulling from bands like Burst and The Refused that like were bands that like hit like this sort of like that felt like maturity to me, I guess.
Mhm.
And so yeah, maybe more intentionally than almost any other play because I'm sure you guys got to the end of the book and you saw there's a QR code with a playlist of the
Hell yeah.
songs. Okay, great. I insisted that this book has that at the end because um I wanted I wanted there to be a musical journey. Gosh, that sounds so dorky coming out of my mouth, but I wanted I wanted Scarlett to evolve musically from like a kind of immature lyrically, even though I love the music, right? But immature, sort of lyrically immature kind of to a more musically mature kind of way of thinking. So, for example, Mew is one of my favorite bands, and having Scarlett like discover this band and be like, "Who the heck is this?" And just sort of
Eh,
be like hypnotized by it, and then message her mom and be like, "Have you ever heard of this band?" Her mom's like, "I don't like that pussy emo shit," like
Yeah,
her being like, "What the heck, mom? Why would you think that?" I wanted that to be like a learning moment for Scarlett. And then there was, of course, I needed to put some Dolly Parton in there. And I'll be the first to admit that like I'm not a country music fan. There are certain kinds of country artists though that I'm a big fan of, but I wouldn't say I am a huge fan of Dolly Parton's music until I started writing this book. And then I was because I love Dolly. Who doesn't love Dolly the human, right?
right.
Dolly the character is one of the greatest American humans of all time, right? But like like her music is, when you grow up listening to AFI and stuff like that, like Dolly Parton isn't really part of that equation. But then I started digging deep into her music and realizing what the hell is wrong with me? She's writing about love, but a complex love, right? She's
Yeah,
writing about the working class. She's writing about being her own hero and writing her own story. And I'm
yeah.
like, I feel like how could Scarlett not slowly love this? So I sort of put it into the book as like she starts getting so exposed to it that like she can't not start loving her. And then I wanted there to be this really cool symbolism at the end. I don't think I'm giving too much away, where I say that she finds this Dolly Parton shirt and she like rips
mhm,
off the sleeves because she doesn't think it's like hardcore enough to be wearing a Dolly
yes,
Parton shirt unless she like rips the sleeves off, and that becomes her like I'm an English teacher, so like when we start thinking of like epic poetry and the
yep,
arming of the warrior before the final battle and stuff like that, like I tried to create that scene only she's throwing on a Dolly Parton shirt and like
yeah.
young Dolly
It
looking
was amazing,
like
actually.
yeah.
It was so good. I felt like that was a part that I'm smiling from ear to
Yes,
ear.
gotta have a montage.
Yeah, I appreciate that because, like, I think Dolly is really symbolic of the kind of person Scarlett really probably is. She's
Right,
she's tough as nails. She wants to do things her way, but at the end of the day, she knows it's the right way. She knows it's the thing that's gonna save people and help people. So yeah, that's. I'm sorry if that was too long winded, but the music part of this book is was so intentional that, I'm so glad you asked about it.
well, I think there's the one line too that I love that says, "The Dolly Parton song came on that she'd never heard but knew by heart."
Yeah, great. I'm so
Right.
happy.
Yes.
That resonated for sure. Yeah.
No, that was yeah, so good. So, I think also, I can understand what you're saying because it is a very, like, iconic cover, but worrying, is it, like, accurate to, like, the experience, or are people seeing this and thinking one thing? The one thing that is great is that you're with Clash, who I think is, they know how to sell all kinds of different books, and I
Mhm.
think that they definitely are gonna position it in the best possible way for that, but I think that definitely it's gonna make people pick it up, which is important, you know?
Yeah.
So, are you doing any kind of, tours or signings or anything? I just envision you at the Stampede signing Meat Fees. I'm sure that's not happening, but
Maybe
are you
one day.
yeah.
I think for now so, like, one of the issues that I'm having is that because I'm a high school teacher,
Mhm.
as soon as the book comes out, my school year is pretty much starting,
I was
so
just wondering, yeah.
yeah, so I think my plan for now is like I'm gonna do some local stuff in the Chicago area. I've been
Mhm.
talking to a bookstore where I am in McHenry County. It's in this old town called Woodstock on this like cool old. Oh, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Groundhog's Day, but
Yes.
the yeah the that movie was famously filmed in Woodstock, Illinois. So
Okay.
Oh, okay,
and there's
'cause
like
we live in Pennsylvania, so we've
oh
actually
there
been
we
in
go.
County,
The
so the
Punxsutawney
accent,
stuff,
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I have to imagine they probably picked something Punxsutawney-ish for that
Well, I
movie.
just learned that it's called La Festa de la Marmata in Italian. There's a
There you
marmot.
go. All right. So
He's
I
like,
think I'll
is that
be.
real?" I'm like, "Yeah, there really is a marmot festival."
That's so awesome. There's a festival for everything, and I think that's really. I'm hoping I will find the bee festival somewhere and be able to set up shop there.
Yeah.
But I think I'll be doing probably a reading and a signing in Woodstock. Last year I did something for Printers Row Fest in Chicago, so I might, if they invite me again, I might end up doing that. There's been some talk of doing a couple panels here and there, but we're still so far out that it hasn't totally come together. I feel like a lot of this stuff happens when the book's out and people can read it, and so I'm kind of just waiting until like we can ramp up a little bit more and then I have a book to actually hand out because right now I only have one paperback copy in my possession. So
No.
yeah, so I'm waiting for the books to get printed, and then I'll have something to sell and something to like hawk to people. But
Yeah,
for
we would love to, like, take copies with us because 'cause we're going to Spooktastic and some of
Mhm.
oh
these
yeah,
places that listen, I don't have a problem being
Yeah.
your salesperson here. I don't need anything for it just because I'm like, "You gotta read this, it's so good."
I don't know how far Paris, Illinois is from you, but they have a bee festival in September.
hell
Just looked
yeah,
it
I'll
up
look
real
into
quick.
that. That's awesome. I don't
You
know
know
where
how
how
you
far
love
that is
bees?
either,
Yeah,
but
those aren't bees,
even if it's
honeybees.
a
Buy
4 hour
my
drive,
book.
it might be worth it. But but I think
Wait,
and I
maybe
might
you
take
should
you up
see if
on that
there's a
offer
PT Cruiser
for the what
festival.
is the spooks. What was that?
I
Oh,
said,
hell yeah, that would be sweet too. Although,
maybe you should see if you could find a PT Cruiser festival.
yeah, that would be sweet too. Although I feel like a lot of people would be looking at me funny if I'm handing them my book. And be like, "I promise, there's a sweet PT Cruiser in this book. I know it looks gnarly on the cover, but
He's
um,
the hero, it's Bruno, yeah. No, I'm excited to see what your 11-year-old comes up with too.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, I think maybe when we're not recording anymore, I'll send you a message or something and tell you like all it'll be some of the stuff from the end. I think a little bit more too.
That'd be
Some
great.
weapons, some
I love it. Yeah,
final battles and stuff. But yeah, I think
inquiring
that my
minds want to know, and that's what
yeah,
happens.
I think my goal though is just to try my best to get stay kind of in the Midwest probably, and hopefully the StokerCon as of this recording, StokerCon is next week, and everyone's like, "Are you going?" I'm like, "I don't even have a book out yet, so no, not
Mm,
yet." But next year, I think I'd like to try to do something like that if it's not too much money, and
mhm.
maybe my family would enjoy getting spooked by some books too, so we could see how that goes as well. Yeah.
We'll hook you up with some of the things that we know about, but definitely willing to help, and because I feel like this is such a just like I said, it's just such a damn good book. Like, some people are gonna be getting it for their birthdays that are coming up, I'll tell you
Mhm.
that
Man,
much.
I love that. That's so awesome. Thank you.
No, it's good. I it's like I'm like that person that if I really like something, like how I love to push food on people too. I'm like, "You gotta try this. You gotta share some of this. You gotta eat this with me." That's how I feel about the book. So when I really feel excited about one like this, I mean,
And I know that people can find you on social media at Brown Trousers, so I need to hear the story of why that is.
Oh, I don't know, man.
not what you think, Adam.
I don't think it's as poop related as
Oh,
probably
I was
many
just
people
thinking like
probably assume.
teachers, like, wearing
Yeah, no, I used to not wear shorts, because that was a thing for me, and I got really good at buying, like, resale shop, like, pants that were, like, probably, like, old man pants from, like, the '70s and stuff, so I had a lot of brown trousers when I was probably in my 20s and picked that handle, and, I spelled it funky just because somebody else had spelled it the other way, and yeah, I
Uh-huh.
wear shorts now, but only, like, dad style cutoffs,
You know what
but
Adam wears in the summertime, which, again, we have very few marital fights, but this is
uh,
one that he wears sweatpants in the summertime. He's like, "They're
yeah.
well,
cooling."
they
I'm
call
like,
them
"They're
joggers
they're
now, so it's
specifically
allowed.
not cooling because you wear them to sweat."
Well, listen,
Yeah.
I have to wear hard pants all year, okay?
Wear shorts.
So
Anyway,
but when you wear shorts, you have to have matching socks, and that's a
that is
problem.
a problem for
So,
us. Yeah, we
yeah,
live
That is a
here.
curse, I get that for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I get you. If you would've just started that way,
okay,
I would've 'cause that's a lot of work to
yeah,
find a matching sock. I just
mhm,
yeah, no. But we just again, we can't say enough. I wish we could talk more about the ending. I think it could be really cool if maybe after the book is out for a little while and
mhm.
maybe, like, start to the new year, we could even have, like, you come back and we talk a little bit more of like do like a spoiler episode where we get to talk about
Sure.
because I think the thing that I want to talk about even more is the depth to what is causing all this. And
Mhm.
I just there's no way we can even start to talk about it without ruining it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. And at the risk of maybe giving too much away, there's like there's a reason why the bees are eating people, and
Yep.
I'm currently working on a thing that involves that reason further. So
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
probably
Really
so
nice.
probably when I close the MacBook here, I'm gonna be cracking open like my own writing device and working
Yeah.
on that
Love that.
story too. So yeah, I'd love to talk more because I might have a lot more to share by then too.
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
In closing, I just wanted to say, Adam, if you need a proofreader for your new book, it sounds like Dane's your person because you're writing the weird horror that he wants to read.
Hell
Wow,
yeah. Yes.
What is it?
Please do share.
I
Oh,
did. Okay, so the novella I'm starting now is about a man who has to team up with the ghost that's haunting his house to stop an alien invasion. So
Oh my gosh, that is so my book. You have to share it with
that's up
me.
your alley.
Yes, I'm not even saying that because you guys have been generous and gracious and very nice to me. Like that genuinely sounds like a book that I would want to pick up right away. So please, of course, send it to me. And if you want feedback or if you just want a reader to pat you on the back, I would be happy to be that guy for you.
okay, perfect.
When he
Yeah.
started saying his kind of books, he looked like, yep, that sounds like Adam's book.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
yeah. Gonna be the working title is I think the sun is trying to kill me. So
Yes. Oh man, that
so
is so good.
it
Yeah.
the book opens with the guy in his house and his door opens and he's like, "Fuck, I forgot to lock the door." Because the old guy next door always comes in and rambles, and he comes in talking about he thinks the sun's trying to kill him, but he ends up
Mm,
being great.
I love
So,
it.
yeah.
I love it.
Mhm.
Hey,
That
you
is
heard it
really
here
good,
first.
man.
I didn't hear any of the opening yet. It's like a sneak peek. Love that. But yeah, I can't wait to hear more what you do with this because I think you have a lot to build on. And I hope you keep writing your fun, or as you said, like you're less serious. You're really good at that. It feels great, and really excited for what you're going to do in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I really appreciate. I this is the first big in-depth conversation I've had about meat bees with anyone, really. So,
Yeah,
yeah, thank you for giving me a chance to talk about this thing that I really care about and really love, and that no one that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, And you guys, I mean, it's so nice to talk to people who have read it and have something to say about it and actually want to know about it. So thank you for being genuine and real and cool and very complimentary too. So I
absolutely.
appreciate
I
well,
it.
it was
just
a real
Yeah.
honor to hear that.
it
You're the
is.
first one to
I know.
so,
I want a personalized book and I want the merch. That's all I'm asking for.
yeah.
We'll figure it out. I promise one
Okay.
way or another. Yeah, I'll make sure my son draws in the book for you and
Nice.
he's drawn a lot of the again, if you've read the acknowledgments, you know that my middle son, his name is Finn. He's like 11 now. When I
Mhm.
was like, what's another weird way to kill bees? He was like, or I'm sorry, what's another weird way that bees could kill a person? He's like, hmm, what about if you tried this? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, let's do that. So like,
Ah,
I'll give you as personalized of a book as I can with like some of the brainchild behind Meat Bees
oh, I
drawing
love
weird
Amazing.
it.
pictures.
All
Yeah,
that.
I'll do the best I can there. So
I love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope you have a wonderful evening and thanks again.
Enjoy your
yeah,
break.
thank
Yes.
you. Have a good
Okay,
one, guys.
goodbye.
Bye.